So my name is Jessica. I'm the Lifestyle Coach UK. I also the founder of a Happy Lifestyle Club, and I wrote the book Happy Lifestyle Planner. So you can tell I'm all about happiness. I'm actually also ADHD and autistic, so my brain does not always want to play ball with what I want it to do. So I very much come from a place of I don't just know this stuff, I do this stuff. This is how everyone's, oh, you're so organized and you get so many things done. Well, what I'm going through today is that this is exactly how I do it. This is how I manage to live life. Then today's section, we're going to go through a quick introduction. We are going to go through understanding, talking about understanding ourselves and understanding more about why our brain won't do the thing, which leads into looking at selecting the right strategies. We will touch on neurodiversity because it is a lot more common than we even knew it was a couple of years ago. And that obviously has a massive impact on how our brains function. So it's very important to have a section on that. Then we were talking about my 8 top strategies that I recommend for trying to get your brain to do the things when it doesn't want to do the things. And then one of my favorite little hacks, we're going to talk about positive procrastination. So when you can't get your brain to do what you want it to do, when all else has failed, there's still one more thing we can do. When all else has failed, there's still positive procrastination. So we'll go through that as well. So I said, my name is Jessica. I've been a coach for over 7 years. I didn't know I was ADHD autistic for the majority of that time. I just happened to teach myself, come up with ways of doing things that also happened to be particularly neurodiverse friendly because I was neurodiverse. So that's how I was already teaching a lot of strategies to everyone. And I've come to learn that actually a lot of what I was teaching and things did also happen to be very neurodiverse friendly. So while this isn't specifically a neurodiverse session, we're talking about the brain. So it's going to come up. It's going to come up a lot. Not a lot, a little bit. I'm a little bit nuts, a little bit loopy, and I can talk quite quickly. So as I said, you will get a replay if you want to go back through any of the bits, and obviously feel free to take notes. If you're writing down little bits, even if it's just little keywords, it does help you process the information that we're going through as well. So on this one, I'm trying to get better at doing my slides. Can you tell? So understanding, it's going to be the first place when we've identified that why am I struggling today, or just in general that I'm struggling, I can't get my brain to do what I want it to do. We need to first seek to understand. I will caption that with there isn't always an obvious answer, so don't get bogged down in not moving on to the next step because you can't find an understanding, but it is beneficial if you are able to spot, is it that I'm scared of the thing that I'm doing, which can be very common even when it's a nice thing. We can be scared of the consequence of doing that thing, and that could be something like, and I speak very much from experience with this one, that the thing we do is going to bring us more business or bring us more clients or whatever if we're a self-employed or business owner, and that on the surface sounds great. That's the thing we want, surely. But that can still be scary because that's going to change the dynamic of life. That's going to put us, just change in general is scary. So even when it's changed for the best, understanding that actually our brain is stopping us from doing this thing because it's trying to protect us by avoiding change. That can be a beneficial thing to notice because you can dig deeper into that. Understanding, is it tiredness? Are you not feeling physically nourished, mentally nourished? One of the things I talk about constantly in the membership, and we have even in the WhatsApp every morning, we check in with our top 3 priorities. But before that, I always say, what's your mental energy? Give yourself a score out of 10 for your mental energy and a score out of 10 for your physical energy. And then you can use that to make better choices for what you're going to tackle that day. So if I've got a day where I've got really good physical energy, like today, really good physical energy today, mental side, probably like a 2. So between, I've got this masterclass, I'm teaching co-working later. Between that, I'm going to do things that require lots of physical energy, but little brain power. So I'm actually, yeah, that's why I've been packing boxes this morning, because I find that really limited brain power. I can have a nice video on in the background, and I can crack on. So I am understanding before I even start procrastinating. You can start making better choices about what you're going to do each day and how you're going to split your time. You can understand yourself ahead of time that way. But is there something about the task that's stopping you? And like I said, if there's nothing obvious jumping out, don't waste time trying to work it out, but have that little check-in, be like, oh, is there something obvious here that I can use to make sure I'm moving forward in the right way? Which leads us on to selecting the right strategy. So this will come down to a number of things. Obviously, we're going to go through my top 8 strategies in a second. But based on why you can't do it, so if you've been able to understand and identify your reason, what is the task? So different strategies, certain strategies will work for certain tasks and not as well for others. Like I said, your energy levels, I cannot shout loud enough about how we should all check in with our energy levels in the morning. It seems really obvious, but so many don't do it. They're like, this is what I'd planned to do, or this is what has got to get done today. And they don't look at it and go, well, actually, no, I'm exhausted. If I do something today that is still productive, but works with, maybe I've got more physical, more mental energy that works with that, I'm going to be in a better place tomorrow to tackle the next thing. We can't just think about in the moment and how we're dealing with what we've got to do in the moment. It's about getting ahead of ourselves and being able to have that forward planning, which just feels like a mythical unicorn at times. Like, how am I ever going to be like ahead of my to-do list? But don't worry, I have all the answers, most of the answers about how to do that, because that's how I've managed to control my time, or have better control of my time, and do all the things. Everyone's like, you seem to have about 8 businesses, and I'm like, I just manage my time well, with lots of strategies and support. So that, for me, the key starting point is, yeah, understanding where that energy is, and also understanding you and how you usually work best. So what are the things that usually work well for you? One of the common ones is people often fall into either a sprinter or a marathon runner. Now, I don't mean physically, because my ankles are still shouting at me. I went for a run for the first time in months on Sunday, and my ankles are going, what happened? We are not used to being used this way. We are used to like standing in the gym in socks, not running in trainers in the mud. So metaphorically speaking, sprinter or marathoner, I will work better when I've got a close deadline. But maybe you work better when you know you can pace it out and you know you can see way into the future. Maybe that's how, like, understanding those little things about yourself, taking that time to be reflective of who you are, what's worked in the past, how you work best, is so beneficial when you're selecting the right strategy to move forward. So tapping into all of those things. And it sounds, when you first start doing this, as with everything, it's going to feel like a lot of steps to sort of check in with, but it just becomes very natural. You start, once you've done the work to start to know yourself, there's a little review from time to time as we evolve at different stages of life, particularly for women where our hormones change so much throughout our lives, things like that. Or if you have different hormonal balances issues, things like that, how you deal with life will change, will fluctuate more so. But on the whole, I've always been a sprinter. And there are other things like that, other different tests and little tests. Is literally checking in with yourself and going, do I work better when I've got a long lead time or a short lead time? And I'm like, queen of the short lead time. Give me a tight deadline and I'm all over it. It'll be done. Great. Long lead times, it won't get done at all. Just not going to happen. So that's about like understanding what works best for you and how you normally function at your best. Neurodiversity is obviously a big part of understanding how you function best. I'm a big believer that we're going to get to the point where, as when you're born, majority of people are either assigned female at birth or assigned male at birth. I know there are huge additional categories that people come into as they move into life, but I'm talking about when the moment you pop out, they look between your legs and can tell which. I think we're going to get to a point where we're nearly 50-50 with neurotypical and neurodiverse. And I think there's so much more understanding. And also because of the fact that the survival of the human race is in part thanks to the fact that we are a mixture of neurodiverse and neurotypical. I find it really fascinating, slight side note this one, I find it really fascinating how things are showing up now, and we're discovering more about the human race now that harks back to when we were like in the caves surviving, like the fact that we all have different circadian rhythms. So some people are night owls and morning owls. Well, that was so some of us could sit outside the cave in the middle of night and protect those that were needed to sleep at night. And then they were happy sleeping during the day, while the people that liked being awake in the day could protect those in the caves. I love stuff like that. And I really think that we are coming back to a place where we can really sync our lives better to who we are and our natural tendencies, and our neurodiversity tendencies or our neurotypical tendencies. The world is becoming more understanding about that. Bosses are more flexible. So many jobs are like different time zones and things. So it's like if you live in the UK, but you work better at night, maybe you'll pursue a career that is predominantly online with America, for example. The better we get to know ourselves, the more adaptations we can make in life for these kind of things. So if you are hearing, I know there's a lot in the press at the moment about neurodiversity and things, if you are hearing things and thinking, oh, I really relate to that, but I wouldn't have gone this long without being diagnosed. There are people being diagnosed in their 70s and onward. Like it's never too late, and I've yet to find someone that it hasn't like changed their life in a positive way to have these understandings. And I do know there's a few people in the room that are late diagnosed like myself as well. But whether you pursue going for a diagnosis or not, if you relate to a lot of ADHD tendencies or ASD tendencies, and neurodiversity, for anyone who doesn't know, it would be anything from like OCD, autism, ADHD, HSP, which is hypersensitive person. Yes, that is a category in itself. It's usually associated with having one of the others, but you can have it on its own. RSD, which is rejection sensitivity dysphoria. There are a couple of others, but they elude me. There's lots of abbreviations in there. There's some debate. Some people classify dyslexia, some people don't. I'm dyslexic as well as other things, so I'm neurodiverse either way. But yeah, there's a whole plethora. And you can then go and look for strategies that are more friendly that way. If you are finding that you work in a work environment and you're like, oh, Jess, I just can't get my brain to do, and I'm stuck with the restrictions of my work environment, those kind of things is where it can be very beneficial to go and get a diagnosis, or to speak to HR boss, whatever, and say, I feel like I have or might have this might be my brain type. Would you be willing to let me make these alterations at work without having to go through the assessment process? Because also a lot of adaptations for neurodiverse people in the workplace don't often cost the employer any money. Are things like being allowed to wear ear defenders, or being allowed to be in the slightly moving a desk to a darker corner, or being able to switch out light bulbs so your office is dimmer. Little things like that can make such a difference and don't really cost anything. So that's always, if you aren't comfortable going for a diagnosis, speak up and say, I think I might be. You can even blame, even if you're in the UK, blame the NHS, be like, the wait list is so long, I don't think I should wait to get on it. I feel like I'll be a better employee if you let me make these changes. And when I say that to my boss, she's always very understanding. I work for myself. Can't work for other people, not very good at it. Maybe now there's better understanding, maybe I will become better at working with other people. So do have a think. It can have such a massive impact just on how you move forward with everything in life. But also if you make those adaptations to the more basic things, you're going to have more energy to deal with the more complicated tasks or the things that drain you that little bit more. So I have a lot of structures and routine for I need the house clean and tidy, but I also don't want to do it. I want to sit on the sofa under my fluffy blanket and watch TV and eat chocolate. Like that's my natural state. But I know I'm so much happier in a clean environment. So I have structures in place to make sure I stay on top of the laundry and stay on top of the cleaning. Because I know otherwise my autistic brain will get very mad that the house is dirty and not tidy. But my ADHD brain doesn't want to do any of it. So it's about having that understanding with yourself. And sometimes people struggle to, I guess, have enough grace with themselves and without having a diagnosis. So there you go. My neurodiversity preaches over, but obviously when we're talking about brains, it's quite an important one. So the good stuff. I'm gonna have a mouthful of drink. I have got the chat box up, so if you've got any questions, do pop them in there, and it might be that I circle back to them, because if I try and talk and read at the same time, I'll just go silent and not do anything. So we've got 8 top strategies that I'm going to work through today. This is where the magic happens. And then we've got the bonus. If all else fails, we've got positive procrastination. So my first one is small steps. So are you finding that it's too overwhelming? Maybe in that understanding phase, you've understood that you just literally feel like you're drowning in what it is that you have to do. There is no definition for what a small step is beyond what doesn't feel overwhelming. So if you feel like you've made the task into smaller steps and it still feels overwhelming, the step is too big. And there will be days when our steps can be massive and we've got all the energy in the world to bounce up them like Tigger. But then there are days where we are a teeny tiny little ant who's had 3 of its legs plucked off, and that's our energy level, and that's all we've got to give. And we need a smaller step. We need instead of a do the laundry, obviously quite a basic example, but instead of a step being do the laundry, it might be that your steps need to be broken down into pick up dirty laundry off bedroom floor, put dirty laundry in laundry basket, pick dirty laundry up off kids' floor, put in kids' laundry basket, empty the 2 laundry baskets. What are we up to 5 now? Empty laundry baskets, take laundry downstairs, separate laundry, put wash one on. Like, that's okay if it's what gets the thing done. And I think this is misconception that everyone else is finding it really easy. And I get this all the time. People are like, oh yeah, but you're just naturally organized. I am not naturally organized. I am the original inept organizer. It was a baptism of fire. My first proper family home, I went into husband, 2 stepkids living with us full time and running a B&B from home. While also, I think at one point I ended up chairwoman of the PTA, and just everything crumbled very quickly. And I was just like, oh, we need strategies. This isn't going to happen otherwise. Lots of systems in place to make it happen. And that means that some days when I'm feeling more overwhelmed, the steps are gonna feel tiny. And then other days I'm gonna look at it and think, do the laundry, done, 1 step, it's absolutely okay. Obviously the laundry is such a small example. You can apply this to work, you can apply this to your personal life. I find it quite tricky to catch up with friends. A lot of my friendships are based around seeing them very rarely, chatting to them very rarely, and never being quite sure when I last saw them. My best friend, I am not entirely sure when I last saw her. I know we spoke on text message this week. I'm not even entirely sure when we last spoke on the phone. So for me, when I really go, actually, I do really want to meet up with this person, that is quite an overwhelming thing for me. And the steps will be tiny, teeny tiny. Like, decide what I want to do, create a list of things that I could suggest that we do in case they don't like the initial thing. Like, pick some times, pick some dates, pick some backup dates, pick some backup times, send a message saying, I've been thinking about you, it'd be nice to meet up soon, so that they're warmed up to the idea of seeing me. Like, that for me is a massive thing. Whereas setting up, I recently launched a work retreat, so like getting your business organized retreats. It's like 2 nights, 3 days, all the meals. We've got a cottage booked in Norfolk. And I drew everything for that. I was able to pull together and finalize all the details within 24 hours. And for me, that was just on my list of plan retreat, because that appeals to me, understanding myself, and knowing that my strategy there would be like that one step will just get me running. And a lot of the time it's about getting that momentum. Think about when you physically climb a set of stairs, that first step, going from walking flat to that first step, or going up a hill. But once you've got that momentum going up, it becomes a lot easier as well. So it can be about the first couple of steps need to be smaller, and then you start jumping two at a time, and it's much easier. So small steps. Is it too overwhelming? Could you break it down into further steps? My second strategy is understanding your reason. Why are you doing this thing? Now, the joy might not be specifically in the thing itself, but more the consequence of the thing, or the fact that you don't want the consequence of not doing the thing. So this could be like, trying to think of more examples that aren't laundry related, but I clearly have got laundry on the brain because I've got a load to fold up later. So doing a form for, oh, there you go. This is one I've got to do. Doing a form for school. I don't really want to do the form. The form's boring. That's not exciting. And to be honest, I'm not going to get anything out of doing the form either. But I will have a very upset small person if I don't do the form and she doesn't get to go on the same trip. So my motivation for doing the thing I don't want to do is because I don't want to end up with if I don't do it, I'm going to end up with a sad child. I don't want to do that. And that gives me my reason. And I'm always reminded with this one about Marie Kondo and her spark joy. And everyone's like, but I need to keep my hammer, and my hammer doesn't spark joy. And I was like, yeah, but the consequence of getting rid of your hammer is the opposite of joy. Therefore, you need to keep it because you want to be able to put that picture up whenever you want it, or smash up that hard drive, which has been my job. I've done that this morning. That was quite fun. Smashing up the hard drive. So I do. The hammer itself might not bring me joy, but the thing connected to the hammer does. So what's connected to that task that your brain is going, no, I don't want to do it. And it could be that while you're finding your reason, you realize you shouldn't be doing this, you don't want to be doing this, and you don't need to be doing this. And I do like to-do list management with clients, where I literally will sit and help them go through the structures of their to-do lists and sort them out, and we'll set deadlines for things. I literally do that one-to-one with people, either online or in person. And without fail, there is something on that to-do list that just needs to go. So this strategy is really good. If you're going, maybe I'm not doing this because I'm not sure I need to do this or want to do this, then go into that. That would be straight, I need strategy 2. I need to find my reason. And if you can't, you need to strongly question whether you should be doing it at all. Sometimes it might be you have the luxury of being able to outsource it to someone else. So we're quite good with me and my partner. We're a team. We tap into each other's strengths. Me cleaning, him cooking. 2 basic examples, but I will procrastinate cooking until the cows come home and then just have some toast. I will quite happily do that. It's lucky we both work from home, because otherwise I literally would just live off toast and Marmite for lunches and never eat a vegetable, because I love vegetables, I just don't want to cook. And he's kind of the same with cleaning. So we tap into our strengths. So in a way, I outsource the cooking to him and he outsources the cleaning to me. It might be that you are in a position where you can outsource it to another person, or even I've seen people that have housemate situations. They'll share roles to each other's strengths. If one loves cleaning the kitchen but one loves cleaning the bathroom, you might as well always do the thing that you love doing. There's no point in switching every week or whatever, or every month, if there's a particular area. So while you're looking at your reason, tap into that as well. I'm gonna have another mouthful of juice. Like I said, if you've got any questions, do pop them in the chat. And for those that join late, don't worry, there will be a replay for anything you missed at the beginning. Very noisy cup, but it's my favorite one. No drinking happens unless I have that. So strategy number 3 is clear your workspace. Obviously, I'm also a qualified professional organizer. It's only part of what I do, but I do sometimes still go into people's houses. I've got an assessment for someone tomorrow and physically declutter and organise spaces. Um, so it's only part of what I do now, but I still love it. And I I think I probably naturally hoard and keep everything. And I, as of last year, now embrace being a minimalist. Now, it's blurred, but you can kind of see there's still stuff in my house. I'm not like white walls, 2 chairs type minimalist. I still have scatter cushions and fluffy blankets around the place because life's not worth life's not worth it without a fluffy blanket. Let's be honest. Um, I still have those kind of bits, but I have a much clearer space. So my office space is now in our sitting room because our internet is appalling and I do a lot of on-screen stuff. So I've moved my desk to the sitting room so I can actually put my desk on top of the router um, to have better signal. But I will reset it at the end of each day. And in the morning, I'll also come down and just set it out for the day. So it's clear and it's set for work. So whatever it is that you're going to do, so maybe you'll want to get some sewing done, we'll clear that space and set it up as a clear space for sewing without the other distractions nearby. If I had like my laundry on the sofa waiting to be done while I'm trying to get something written or trying to rewrite a course, it's not going to happen. I'm going to be like, oh, constant attention pull. So at the very least, try and get it out of your eye line. So you can always put it behind you. Worst case, put it behind you, put a blanket over the top of it and hide it. But ideally, we want to be decluttered properly and so that we've got a space that stimulates our want to do the thing, whatever that thing may be. So it could be that we declutter the kitchen counter of the pots and pans so that we've got a clear space to fold up the laundry. Like, see, I've got laundry on the brain today, but it works the same with your desk. So if I'm doing anything to do with my marketing, I've got my marketing book that I always get out on the desk and clear everything else off. So I've reset it for doing that and doing that one task. And I just can't preach enough about the awesomeness of a clear workspace. Even people that say that they're a creative and they thrive with chaos and things, there will be an order to their chaos that maybe they've not identified when they are at their sort of peak. But if it's something you're struggling with, then really look at trying to limit down as much as possible what is on your workspace. And I say that as in whatever job you're doing, be it personal, professional, whatever, wherever you are doing that thing is your workspace. So for me right now, it's my desk. But when I do the laundry, my workspace will be my utility room counter. If I'm cooking a meal, my workspace is my kitchen. When I go back up to pack boxes, I started by clearing my workspace. My workspace is a big square on the carpet and I cleared it all down, moved everything else to the side. So I had a clear workspace to just sit with the thing I was doing and just do that. And it also stops that like sparkly object syndrome of thinking, oh, I'll just do this for a sec. Like I put my phone out of reach. If I don't need my phone for the thing, put my phone out of reach. I've actually got a windowsill this side of me. There's a curtain, which I close for this because it stops the light changing too much while we're filming. But I will also close that curtain and put stuff behind it just so it's out of eye line, and so that it doesn't distract me and helps me stay on task. So don't underestimate the power of a clear workspace, whatever that may look like for you. Number 4, I have another drink, really like noisy cup. Oh, it's nearly running out. For a nice noise, Jess. So number 4 is nourish your brain. Are you hungry? Are you thirsty? Like the physical nourishment side of things. If you are struggling to get things done, are you getting hangry? Because if you're getting hangry, you're going to get frustrated. You're going to not want to do anything. Don't forget to go and eat. And this again links back to understanding you. Are you a little and often? I find if I've got a writing task to do, having fruit handy is really good. Because it stops me fiddling with anything else. It keeps my hands between the grapes are great. Nuts at a push, but like grapes or a chopped up apple, if I've got to type, not too sticky, perfect. Like I can eat and type and I'm doing 2 things. So it's keeping my brain occupied enough without me being like, oh, I'll just pick my phone up for a minute and do that. And then, oh, 3 hours have gone. I still haven't typed the thing. Um, but I find, yeah, fruit really makes my brain very happy. And it's got, well, it's fructose that I think our brain runs on, a very high percentage of our brain runs on that. So um, for me, I know that that's a good pairing. If I'm dehydrated, our brain loves being hydrated properly. I mean, our whole body does, but our brain loves it too. And so making sure that we've had a drink. I'm not gonna lie, I also love caffeine. So sometimes I'm gonna be like, oh, actually, what my brain needs right now is a hit of caffeine. I've had my water, I've had my fruit, I've had my veggies, I've had my carbs, I've had all the other stuff. Um, Now what it needs is it needs a cup of coffee. If this thing's going to happen, it needs a cup of coffee. um and you can also be, it's like a little treat. Oh, I'll get this thing done and then I'll let myself have a cup of coffee. So I'm not gonna lie, I do use coffee that way too. um but yes, so are we fed, are we hydrated, all those things to make our physical body capable of doing the thing. Number 5 ties in nicely with number 4, which is R&R, so rest and relaxation, so sleep patterns. I think one of the most productive things we can do often is rest, is sleep. What I was talking about earlier with the memberships. My membership's a Happy Lifestyle Club, and one of the things, we've got like a whole online website with courses and videos and stuff, and we do extra workshops and things. But we have this little WhatsApp group, and every morning I pop in and I say, check in with your mental and physical energy, and then decide on your top 3 priorities. This is me faking typing into my phone. Da, 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 da. And we actively applaud if someone says my top priority today is to rest. And we're like, right, define what rest means to you. Okay, I'm not going to do any work. I'm going to read my book. I'm going to have a midday nap. Like, that is so key. And sometimes rest needs to be broken down into little steps as well. Sometimes the idea of like, I need to recharge, but I don't know what I'm doing. Like, how do I do that? I actually have a list, a physical list that I can go and check for things that recharge me, help me to rest and recharge. That if I'm just like, I've got nothing left to give, and if you've got nothing left to give, how are you going to decide on the best way to recharge? So I can just read the list. I don't have to think too much. Go through my list and be like, right, I'm going to work through this list and do each one of these things, and hopefully by the end I'll be nicely recharged. But it might be that it's just a good night's sleep, and getting into good sleep patterns wherever possible is obviously going to be hugely beneficial for your overall productivity, focus. I think we can get very caught up on productivity and focus being linked to hustle culture and like doing more in our jobs, but our productivity and focus should be predominantly about the things that we like doing, the fun stuff. Like, we can be productive doing things we like to do, as opposed to being unproductive and not getting around to the things we like to do and want to be spending with our time. So make sure that you're rest and recharge so you can enjoy life too. Very important. Number 6 is movement. So if we get stuck and stagnated in a single space, and this is quite, I'm going to go into a few bits with movement, that if I've been sat still and I've moved from one task to a next task, it can be very hard to get that transition to move over. Get up, run up and down the stairs, do some star jumps, do some stretching, have a spin around, go for a walk in nature. Obviously the ideal dream, because you get like the energy, the nature endorphins energy pumping through your veins as well then. But what is it that you could move? Could you also well, actually this is more the next one, like, could you move locations as well? But literally anything physical movement. But what other ones that can work with this is the movement of something like running water. So could you go and have a shower and reconnect with yourself, re-energize yourself? I often also find moving my clothes, I'm not going to sit in nothing and doing it, but going and getting changed. I rarely wear one set of clothes for a whole day. I normally at some point will need to change, be it that so one of my sort of creative outlets is upcycling furniture, so I might have to get changed to paint, I might have to get changed to go to the gym, or I might have to get changed to do some gardening or whatever. But sometimes I'm just like, oh, I feel stuck, and I'll literally just go and swap clothes. I'll go and even something as simple as changing my socks. And it's a very neurodiverse thing to find clothing as a good trigger. Doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be neurodiverse to use this one, but it's quite a popular one in the neurodiverse community, to literally just go and change your outfit, just go and change what you're wearing, in half, in parts, or in entirety. And that movement of putting your body into a different set of clothes can be enough to re-energize and get you back into that new frame of mind. I think for everyone, it can be very hard if you're doing one task and you're trying to transition into a new task, that it helps break that kind of cycle and things. So I was thinking, changing the color of a t-shirt. Yes, yeah. So Claire's just put in the comments, like changing the color of a t-shirt and things can have such a different mentality. And I suppose this also connects with that whole phrase of like dress for success. I did a million years ago a YouTube video about dressing for success, and it's not what it's perceived to be. So most people think dress for success, you're going to be suit and tie and suited and booted. I mean, we've got a very dapper profile picture going on there with a golden tie and a red shirt, beautiful. That might be success for work. However, if I suited and booted and put my high heels on to paint furniture, I am not dressing for success. I need to be able to like crawl around on the floor, not worry about getting dirty or anything. That would be my version of dressing for success. So when you are using that kind of tactic of dress for success, it's thinking about, what is my successful outcome of this thing? So in the same way, if you were dressing for a successful day, resting and relaxing, you won't be in super comfortable. Maybe you'll leave your PJs on. Maybe that is your dress for success for that day. Maybe you're going to be like getting out in nature, but you really hate the sun glaring in your eyes. So putting on a hat is going to be your dressing for success. Your sunglasses are going to be dressing for success. Putting on a ball gown, maybe that's your dress for success for that day. I recently spoke at an event, I compared for the whole thing, and I was on stage for the whole thing, and I was in a ball gown. And some people might have gone, oh, that was probably a bit uncomfortable to be in a ball gown all day. I mean, I didn't have heels on, I was in flats, I wasn't going to go that crazy. But actually, I'd have felt more uncomfortable in a different outfit. Like I have certain outfits that I use for speaking because they're my like confident speaking outfits. That's my version of dressing for success. So if it is cleaning your house, do you have a favorite cleaning outfit? I've got my favorite cleaning houseworky leggings on today. They've even been patched because I've had them so long. And my daughter loves them as well. They're like pink and purple butterflies. They're probably one of the few patterned items. I'm normally a very flat color kind of girl, but I love these leggings, and I know I'll always get more done around the house when I've got these leggings on. That's my dressing for success. So understanding what that means for you as well. Putting on clean clothes, yeah, that can be your success, is like just putting them on. And my clothes are rarely clean because I'll wear for like a quarter of the day and then change into something else. So it's always very exciting when I actually, I'm putting something on straight out of the wash, because it's not had 3/4 of a day, and I'm like, I'm only wearing this for 2 hours and I'll get changed again, so I might as well put it on, and get its full usage out of it. I'm like, if it doesn't smell and there's no visible stain, it's clean as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, what does that look like for you? So physically moving your body, but also like moving yourself into some new clothes. And even the movement of getting changed can be enough. You don't need to run up and down the stairs or go to a fitness 45 class or whatever they're called. Movement of just changing clothes can be enough to move through. You think between your socks and your trousers or your leggings or whatever, skirt, and putting on a top, and I mean, if you're female and you've got a bra to deal with, that's a workout in itself. Like, you probably move most of your muscles in the getting change process as well. So double whammy benefit there. So number 7 is change your environment. Now, this could be a temporary change or a more permanent change. So this could be going, if you work from home a lot, maybe you'll go and work in a co-working environment. If you've had your home office set up in a similar way for a long time, you might want to mix it up, change the angle of your desk, switch your chairs around, like changing that repaint a wall, obviously a bit more permanent depending on what you're doing. Maybe you want to get a new desk light, whatever it is that changes that environment. It could even be co-working on virtually, so you can go to physical co-working spaces. I host, and I see them all the time as well online, online virtual co-working. So I do Thursdays 1 till 3 for free, every Thursday 1 till 3. I'll pop the link in the thing in a minute. It's on Eventbrite, so anyone that booked this through Eventbrite, if you're now following me, you should see the co-working on there as well. And it's just 2 hours. We do like timed blocks, but it's suddenly, my desk is like this whole different place because I'm actually there with the people that have joined the call, working in a different environment, getting work done. I always say it's my most productive 2 hours of the week. But also then you've got that kind of like body doubling feeling as well. So if I've sort of can't get my vibe to clean in my house, well, my environment is my house because that's what I'm trying to clean. So I'll put on a video on YouTube, good old YouTube, clean with me. I wonder if there's some other things with me. I've seen clean and tidy with me because they're the ones I use the most, but I wonder if there's just like work with me, paint with me. So there you go. Whatever you're trying to do, stick it into YouTube and go like, so jigsaw puzzle with me. I'm putting that on in the background, and that's all I can do to change my environment if I've got to clean my house, because I can't be somewhere else. But having that video on, that's my extra sort of little boost. I had a friend before I moved out of London that we used to co-work a lot together. We would just meet up and then sit in silence, and it's really funny because since then we've both been diagnosed. Get so much done. It was like, because we used to sit and work together. We'd sit in the cafe at the gym and we'd work together. And co-working, it doesn't have to be expensive. A lot of the cafes and stuff now are set up, so it's just buying one coffee or tea or whatever, and then making it last a long time, so that you can stay in that space. Our library is really nice, where we are, looks out over the river. It's the Thames. Is that the Thames? No, it's a canal, so that can't be the Thames. So it looks out over the canal, where the swans are, so it's like a nice view as well. And if I'm going to networking events, often I'll go a little earlier or a little later. I've got agoraphobia, so I don't like going to new places, so I'll go earlier so I can settle into it before the event starts. And I'll often get a little bit of work done before and after there as well. So that can be your sort of change of environment. But it could be moving the desk from this wall to that wall and switching the two rounds, that I've got that change of environment. But if you are constantly feeling stuck and constantly not finding that you're being able to do the thing, then you can invest a little bit more time in maybe like resetting your office space or your workspace, or just grab your laptop and go to Costa or Starbucks or Nero, or a nice independent, so we're not supporting big multinational chains that don't pay their taxes, whatever's going to work. Or have a friend round, get them round to work together. Whatever it is that changes the environment, and is going to reboot you. And then number 8, and my favorite word of all time, gamification. It's such a good word. Go on, like, you say it with me, gamification. Just like uses your whole jaw and your tongue in every direction. Love the word gamification. People are like, is that a real word or a Jessism? And I'm like, no, it's a real word. It does exist, I promise. But it's making anything a game. So one of my favorite ones is I'm going to say Alex because I've got one, the little speaker that talks to us. I think if I say Alex instead of her real name, you'll all know who I'm talking about. So I've got an Alex in my office and an Alex in the kitchen, and they both have, one has a male voice, one has a female voice as well, so I can tell which one is speaking at any one time. And I will set a timer on there and be like, just set a 10-minute timer, and that is it. That's my get. I need to get it done before the timer goes off. Sometimes even setting the timer feels a bit too much, so I will do it to the microwave or the kettle. You'd be surprised how much you can get done before the kettle boils, or something you've put in the oven. Although if I've put something in the oven, I will also get Alex to set a timer because I burn stuff a lot otherwise. And like I said, I don't cook very often. So yeah, I will actually set a timer when I turn the oven on. So if it's an item that needs to go into a hot oven, then I will set 10-minute timer to let the oven warm up, and I'll use that 10 minutes to do something. And the visual timer, let's give it that too. Yes, you can get I'm on cubes upstairs. So there's 2 visual ones. I've got them on my Amazon list, so I'll pop the Amazon link. I know, evil Amazon, but sometimes needs must. I'll find the link in a second. That there's one that's a cube one. So everyone's like, oh, why can't you just pick up your phone? And I'm like, if you're trying to beat procrastination, picking up your phone to set a timer is not a good idea, because what are you going to do? Everything but what you were meant to be doing. You've suddenly picked up the greatest toy on earth. You're not going to actually do the thing you were meant to be doing. So it's better to have something else that you can set a timer with. I'm just trying to find the list where I've got my oh, I think it's in here. So I'm going to pop this in the chat. So both of the timers I'm about to recommend are on this list, so you can find them. Whether you buy them from them or buy them elsewhere is obviously up to you. So one is like a cube, and you can get different time cube blocks. So the one I've got is 5 minutes. So on the side it says 5 minutes, another side it says 10, another it says 15, another it says 30. And I tip it to the number I want it to count down. So that's facing upwards, and I flick the switch on the side and it's straight away. That's all I need to do. It's great because I also get my small person to do it. If I'm like, mummy needs 15 more minutes to work, I said, set the time cube, and then you can remind mummy that the 15 minutes is up. But you can get them in different increments. You can get longer ones. You can get ones that are like 1, 2, 5, 10 minutes. And they always have 4. So it's around the edge, outsides, and there's just a 0 on the top. And then the bottom has the switch to turn it. So you tip it, click the switch, and you're off. And then you've got these visual ones where there's like an actual chunk disappearing. Again, harks back to ADHD and time blindness. Literally can't process the amount of time, like the amount of times I have to keep checking the clock, because I'd keep talking about this subject for 4 hours. I won't. I'm watching the clock, don't worry. But you need that kind of visual reminder. So even switching to a clock face clock as opposed to a digital clock can be really beneficial if you struggle with time blindness and things. But the one that's linked in there is literally the color changes. It's great as well. Again, great for kids if they can't tell the time. Because they literally see the segment getting smaller and that kind of block of color disappearing. I think you can probably get apps on your phone, but again, if you are struggling with procrastination, I would have an external timer of some sort, be it that you shout at the speaker to do it for you, or that you get yourself a time cube, or the other one, old-fashioned alarm clock. Apparently sales of old-fashioned alarm clocks have been going up because no one wants to keep their phone in the bedroom anymore, which is good. Phones should sleep elsewhere, not in bedrooms. So yeah, having that kind of better timer will make it that little bit more fun. Having a playlist. So you might put together a playlist that you're like, this is half an hour. I know this playlist is half an hour. I know this is the final song. So when this song starts, I know I've got to get it racked up. Or just a one song. You're like, how much of my house can I tidy in one song? That's going to be my gamification. Body doubling, I guess, would also come under gamification, and since where you literally just work with someone else. I think there's some other apps and things as well that you can connect to, but of course you all want to join my co-working now. Instead, having that accountability. So you might be like, have a friend who're like, we're going to send each other a text at the beginning of the hour with what we're going to do, and then we're going to say at the end whether we've achieved it. Maybe you want to go super hardcore and you're going to announce it on an Instagram live. This is what I'm going to do for the next hour. I'll be checking back in with an hour to let you know how I got on. So gamification can go in loads of different ways, but my brain loves gamification. I want everything to be a game. I'm like a little kid going, yay, make it fun, make it fun. So how could you make it fun? What does gamification look like for you? And use that to get your brain involved with the plans. It might be a sticker and star chart. I make myself star charts for things, sometimes digital ones that I can just tick off on the screen. Sometimes I will actually have one on my desk to get through a project, where I nab some of my daughter's smiley face stickers and I'll put those on for each section once I've got it. Little rewards and treats. Yes, I am secretly a puppy who likes treats. And expects to be rewarded for the work that I've done for myself. So I'll be like, right, when I've got this blog done, I'm gonna let myself have some ice cream. No, I don't always do food, although to be honest, quite often it's food related because it's easy. It's just next door in the kitchen. But it's not about feeling like I need to earn food because that's a whole other conversation. But being like, I've got to wait to get the ice cream until I finish this thing. So the faster I finish it, the quicker I get to the ice cream. And ice cream is good. Or I'm going to take myself for a walk, or I'm going to allow myself to go to the gym because I'm one of those weirdos who does like going to the gym and good for the old noggin. And I am going to allow myself to have an extra large coffee next time I go out if I get this thing done before X minutes. So those little rewards and things can be really, really helpful. And we think like, we shouldn't need it. I should just be able to do it. No, very few people are just able to do all the things when they want to do the things, neurotypical or otherwise. It's just, we have too many things to do in life. We need extra energy and motivation, unfortunately, to make it happen. And I think the more we talk about how many strategies and structures some of these like super productive people have in place, the more the rest of us are going to feel a bit more like, oh, I'm normal, and stop beating ourselves up so much. Because that is like the biggest waste of energy, is beating yourself up for something that is often without beyond your control. Like, we're humans, we are human beings. We're not just going to magically be able to do everything. We need that support structure. So I'm all about like the transparency of what it takes to do life. And there was a brilliant reel. I shared it in my Instagram stories. If you follow me again, and it's a chap. I think he's called it "Everybody Does," and it's just a song about how everyone has these weird little quirks that we all pretend to hide. Like, but we all have them. We're all weird. We all have something. But we need to talk about how we all have something, or need this extra thing to happen. So don't feel like you're alone in it at all, and have grace with yourself when things do go that little bit awry. I believe there's no such thing as going sort of, I've got off track, and people say I need to get back on track. No, it's just an ever moving forward circle of life. We're just ever moving, and it's like we might have a little detour as opposed to falling off track, and we'll find our way back. It's just, we're always moving forward. So I go off on my little mini rants. You can tell this is a subject I'm quite passionate about. So when all else fails, positive procrastination. What is positive procrastination? So I think most of us know what procrastination is. Strategies list in the WhatsApp group. Yes, I will put the strategies list in the WhatsApp group. And don't worry, the replay will go up. And also, I know we've got a couple of members. If you are a club member, the recording will go in the membership as well. So any workshops that I do, whether they're paid or free sessions like today, the videos always go into the membership section. Sometimes it takes me a couple of days because my computer's a bit slow at compressing files, but it does end up in there. But yeah, I'll share the slide over. Positive procrastination. I can't get the thing done. I can't think of a good strategy. I can't work out why my brain won't do it. But I still want to do something. And I will go to the back of my little book. So this is my weekly to-do list. This is the system we talk about in the membership that I teach. And I literally have a list called positive procrastination. And I will go and pick one of these, because I don't want to procrastinate with something that I don't want to enjoy. Now, if I've decided that I need to rest, that is my strategy, is that I'm going to rest and then I'm going to come back to doing that thing. If I am then resting, I'm not procrastinating. I'm actually giving my brain and my body what it needs to be able to do the thing. In the same way that if you want to write a note, you need to go and find the pen. If I want to get the thing done, maybe I need a nap. And that's okay, because I'm a human being. Things happen. Like, my brain woke me up at 3 a.m. this morning and wouldn't shut up for 3 hours about something until I went and go and checked it out on my computer. And I was correct. So glad I did. But so on my, and obviously everyone's would be different, but it's coming up with a few things that you find useful, but you kind of maybe don't get round to. So I have edit the phone photos. So I'll go through all my phone photos and just clear out a few. It's like, I guess, like doom scrolling. I am scrolling through my own content on my phone. And I'll go through like duplicates, because of course I've got 1,000,001 pictures. Each time I take a picture of a flower, I take 8. So I'll go through and pick my favorite one. So I'm still being productive, I'm still doing something positive, but I am also procrastinating the thing that I was planning on doing. I've got sort and saved Insta posts. So, like you always save that like cool DIY or that fun place to go. So I'll just go through my saved ones and see if there's any I want to note down and actually do something with, or if I can just delete them. Clear my purchased emails. So I have a folder in my email section for purchases, and I'll move the invoice, the receipt, the delivery note, all of that will go straight into my purchased emails folder until I've got the item and I'm definitely happy with the item and I'm definitely keeping the item, and then I can delete them from there. Or if I know I want to remember the company that I bought it from, I'll leave them in that folder as well. A little bit more hardcore for a positive procrastination, but it is on the list, is clear my inbox. So this will just be deleting things I don't need. I won't action anything in there because that's something I'm probably likely to procrastinate on in the first place. But literally just having a little scroll through or putting in the search box Amazon, and it'll bring up all your Amazon emails, and you can straight away delete all of those because everything's saved on Amazon. I will search for recipes. I often then forward them to my partner for him to cook, but I will search for some good recipes. That's positive for me. Finding food is always a positive for me. I love food. Food is ace. I will update my wish lists. I'm doing my second no spend year. I've been in the papers and stuff a bit with it, but I have to, anything that I'm going to get, and there's very little I'm allowed to buy on a no spend year, but anything I am going to get will be bought as a birthday present or Christmas present, has to be on my wish list for at least 14 days before myself or anyone else is allowed to get it for me, because ADHD, impulsivity, just generally trying to get better, really bad previous bad money mindset. So I'm working on that, but I'll go in and update my wish list. So I'll go and take things off that have been on there and I'm like, actually I don't want this anymore, or just see if there's anything, did I screenshot anything on my phone that I wanted to add to my wish list. And it's still productive, it's still a useful use of my time, but I'm still procrastinating on the thing really that I was doing. And then my other one is looking for camper inspo, because that's one of my life goals, is to convert my own, I want a VW Crafter, which is a bit like a transit van, and I want to convert it into a camper come decluttering machine vehicle, so the beds all come out and I've got lots of space to do big house declutters as well. So that's my little positive procrastination list that I can go to, still feel like I've moved something forward, still get something done. And just in the same way as we talked about those steps at the beginning, sometimes you need the first few steps to be really tiny so you can get that motivation and momentum moving forward. And sometimes I find doing something off my positive procrastination list will get me out of my like block and my rut and will start me doing the thing. So it might be that I connect with something that's similar. I mean, decluttering is always another. I don't even need to write that on my list. Decluttering or organizing a space is a really good positive procrastination for me. So that's quite a good one if I want to do something physical. So if my brain's stopping me from going to the gym, I will pick a positive procrastination that is going to be movement based. So something that's going to get me out of my chair and moving, and that will start helping me move forward. Whereas if I was trying to procrastinate responding to a tricky email, a good positive procrastination might be clearing out some of my other emails, which in theory is also decluttering my workspace, isn't it? So you'll see there's quite a few ways in which a lot of the structures kind of overlap and support each other and benefit each other as well. I know it can feel like a lot when you're like, oh, I'm stuck and now I've got to like think through this process, but it becomes second nature. Even if just this me mentioning it now, the next time you get stuck, you'll be like, oh, I'll just try that thing. Might not remember the whole process, but I'll just go and try that thing and make things a little bit easier. And I just liked that graphic, so I wanted to pop it in there. So yeah, my positive procrastination I have as a link as a list in my weekly to-do list, but it might be that you put it on your phone. However you might want to have a piece of paper up behind your computer, however you works best, but I would have it physically written down somewhere, physically or digitally written somewhere, so that you can actually go refer to that list, as opposed to just keeping it up here. Don't keep the positive procrastination list just in your head. You want to make sure it's written down somewhere. So that's me. Look, we're only 2 minutes over. Like I said, you'll get an email when the replay is up and ready to be watched. And those of you that are in the membership, this will also jump into the membership as well. If you've got any final questions, do pop them into the chat box, or if things come up to you afterwards, or if you're watching this on replay, do shoot me an email. So I'm literally just jessica@thelifestylecoachuk.com. And you can just pop me any questions and I'll get back to you as quickly as I can for that. The other one is, if you feel like this has sparked a lot of additional thought processes with you, and you're not sure where to go, and I've mentioned a few things that you like the sound of, I do free half-an-hour coaching calls. I call them kickstart calls, to help get you moving in the right direction. Like, we look for what is the biggest issue at the moment, and start moving you hopefully towards that sort of happier, more organized life. I'll pop the link in the chat box now for that. There we go. So that's the free Kickstarter call. If you're a member, you get a free Kickstarter call every 6 months as well. Oh, Jane, amazing. We hope to see you there. We're such a lovely little community. I know there's a few people in here that are in the membership as well, which is always a good sign. That they stick along to things. We've got a workshop that's members only next week as well, about going deep into the 3 priorities and the energy checking. It's on Monday evening, and again, replays will go into things, but that's a members only one. I'll put the link for the membership in the chat as well. It's only £15 a month, and there's no contract. So you can do a month, and then if you've got a couple of busy months, you can pause it and come back and things. But I love it. It's got courses and videos and downloadables and printables and all the things. But I think my favorite thing is just knowing that there's other people there doing life with you, also going after that mission to be like happier and actually living a life in line with who you are and how you want to show up in the world. So come and find me on all the things. But yeah, if you're just feeling like, even if you want to talk through, so if you want to talk through today's session with me, you can use that link to book a free Kickstarter call. I've added loads of other time slots recently and changed around my schedule so that there's more availability on there, because I used to just do 1 day a week for them, and now there's different times and some evenings and stuff available, because I just think that there's such game-changing sessions. And it's a little thank you from me for coming along today. So final questions, and don't forget, yes, you can book in for co-working, so you can come back. I'm going to go and make, I'm in charge of cooking lunch today, so I'm going to go and make lunch quickly, and then I'll be back on at 1 till 3. So if you can't come at 1, you can turn up anytime before 1 till 3, and we have timers, like time blocks on the screen. I'm putting loads of links in the chat today. So that's my Eventbrite link that goes through for any paid or free events, and the co-working I run free. So if you want to book on, then I will see you there, or a future Thursday. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. I'm Jessica. I'm the Lifestyle Coach UK, and I will see you soon. Ta-ta for now.